Good morning. Please don't eat my trees. You'll have a nice day. Keep on walking. Good morning, girls. Good morning. Oh, y'all guys are dust bathing in the wet ground, huh? Yeah. I better go get Evie. She won't be happy if I go for a walk without her. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex, and welcome back to another day here at Reach and Reverie. And we can't forget, this is Miss Evie. She is looking for deer and jackrabbits. Right as I brought her out this morning, she saw the deer hurrying off the property, and then a black-tailed jackrabbit jumped out. We can't go over there. That's next door. So over here we have, this is a 4-acre parcel, and beyond it, another 15-acre parcel that is not lived on. So it feels a little bit wild. All right, let's keep on walking. I thought we'd do something a little bit different on today's video. Evie and I regularly walk the property as our low impact dog walk. Ever since she broke her leg a couple years ago, she's no longer allowed to run. She can walk, and I think that's good enough for her. So oh, there's another few black-tailed jackrabbits right up there. There's a few of them. So on today's video, I thought that we would do something a little bit different. I always take Evie for a walk, and this morning seems just a little bit extra special as we got a really good rain yesterday. We got about 0.4 inches according to our weather station in the span of probably about 3 to 4 hours yesterday, which is really unusual. Out here in far western Texas, we average about 7 to 9 inches of rain every year. So 0.4 inches is a pretty good jump towards our annual average. And it was a nice solid rain. Typically we get storms that blow here, they hit hard and they're gone fast. And it really stuck around yesterday. Anytime you have the combination of really hot weather and rain, it's a recipe for hail. And when it started raining yesterday, it was 101 degrees outside. By the time it stopped, it was 68 degrees outside. So that first 10 minutes we had hail, and after that it was just a really nice solid rain. And the thing about the desert is when it does rain, everything comes to life. You can hear the birds chirping this morning, the wildlife more active this morning, and there's a smell to the air. When it gets wet in the desert, the plants literally smell amazing. The smell of creosote, which is a native plant out here, it smells like desert rain. I'm watching all the little animals flitting around, and there's something different about being in a desert after it rains. So I wish I could share the smells with you of how amazing this morning feels, but I thought we'd walk around and I could show you guys some of this desert waking up. So let's see what we see this morning. What do you think, Miss Evie? She's a little more impatient. She's used to my camera shenanigans. Go see if we can find some wascally wabbits. I think we scared them off, Evie. Almost a year ago, we're going on 11.5 months now, Josh and I bought this 5-acre parcel, And since then, we've been working very hard to turn it into our forever home. And this is kind of a side of the property that I don't think I've really shown you guys too much of yet, besides maybe the very first video I posted when we bought it a year ago. It may not look like much to some, but this is everything to Josh and I. In our little desert ecosystem, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of life out here. When you really look around, though, you do start to see. Last September, after the grasses went to seed, I went and picked the different types of grasses that I could find here on the property, and we have more than 20 different species and varieties of grass growing on this property. So there's a lot more biodiversity than we give the desert credit for. So much life in the desert. Even this seemingly dead cholla has come back to life with the rain. And he's about to flower. As with the other chollas on the property. And our prickly pears are also starting to bloom, which is really nice. You could see we already lost quite a few blooms that we've missed. I've walked around the property several times just enjoying them, but I think we're gonna have more prickly pear cactus blooming yet. Here's another cholla. The mesquites are happy, and a lot of them have bloomed and some are still blooming. And mesquite, when they flower, they have a really sweet smell as well. That's these trees that are all over the property, and when it rains they just leaf out more and more. Wow, look at that. Our first mesquite pods of the season. They're gonna swell up, and when they start drying, they'll turn a tan color with purple streaks, and they'll be ready to pick whenever you can come by and pull on them, and they'll gently fall off. Now, I learned with mesquite last year, you've got to be quick about picking mesquite, because if you leave them on the tree too long, they'll get a fungus and turn the beans inedible. So I'm gonna be watching out for mesquite this year. Here is one of my favorite plants on the property. This is one of our really big prickly pears. And look at this, we've got a longhorn beetle hanging out over there. Morning, little guy. But these prickly pears, and I'll have to show you a picture since these haven't opened up yet. These are just the most beautiful flowers. This particular cactus has like a really dusky rose peach colored flower, but a lot of the prickly pears out here as well, and some of them on the property have an also really pretty canary yellowish colored flower. Where do you think the yellow rose of Texas came from? If you've heard that song, The Yellow Rose of Texas. So we're coming to the back of the property. I actually almost posted a video about the super highway that's running through the back of our property. We've been having a ton of wildlife utilizing this back area to cross our property, where they feel a little bit safer. There's a pond on either side of our property, which is conducive to a lot of animals hanging out and being active around here. You can kind of see their worn game trail coming through. And we've noticed there hasn't been a whole lot of activity in the past couple months. Right as I was producing this superhighway video, it just seemingly completely stopped. We think that one of our neighbors has been trapping the raccoons and hunting the hogs. We're not too upset about the hogs being missing, but we kind of were growing fond of those raccoons. They were kind of cute. So now what mainly crosses this property, let's see if we can see any tracks in the mud, if anything's come through this morning. Not too much action yet, but we still get hogs that cross through, a whole lot of deer. We have whitetail on this property, and up at the front of our ranch community they have mule deer. So it's kind of interesting that we have two types of deer that live on our little ranch subdivision, and they really kind of stay away from each other for the most part. Evie, come here. Let's get away from that brush. Thank you. We have a lot of gray foxes on the property. We have one that likes to go up near the house and mark. I wonder if he's a boy. And other things that we keep an eye out for in this area are things like bobcats. I've seen tracks on the property. We also have black bear in the area and mountain lions. Haven't seen evidence of either of those yet, thankfully. Here's some mesquite flowers in bloom. They look kind of funky. Mesquites are a legume, which means that they are plants that produce bean pods, and they also fix nitrogen back down into the soil. So mesquites are really good to have around your property. We are planning on pruning these mesquites up to be more tree-like and less shrubby and bush-like to discourage things like rattlesnakes. We actually found our first rattlesnake on the property 2 days ago. And believe it or not, it was on our doorstep, which was a little bit nerve-wracking at dusk as we were walking in. A reminder not to go barefoot out here. But mesquites have really deep tap roots, so they're really neat for pulling water from deep down in the ground. They encourage other plants to live around them because they bring some of that water up to allow plants in the desert to grow that may otherwise dehydrate to death. But they also fix nitrogen down into the soil, improving the quality of the soil for those plants around them. Here we have a little rainbow cactus, which is full of spent flowers. It's been blooming. And Josh and I have gone around the property and flagged most of these guys because if we do any construction out here, we want to move these instead of tear them out. We love our rainbow cactuses. There's not a whole lot of them, so it's kind of like a rare gem or artifact here on the property that we are treasuring. You checking out where that fox has been? This is a pile of rubble that came with the property. If there's one rock out here, I'm gonna trip over it. And so we have been using some of these rocks to border things and on some of our projects, and slowly this rock pile is getting a little bit smaller, but a lot of it is largely rubble. I have been keeping a much more open-wided eye out for snakes since that snake that we found just a couple days ago. He was a little rattlesnake, less than a foot long, and those are the most dangerous because when they bite you, they haven't quite figured out how much venom to use yet. So, with as active as they've been, we've been hearing about a lot of rattlesnakes waking up. We've been a little bit more mindful of not going out into tall grass right now. You find some hog poop? Cool. Looks like somebody was over here recently. That looks pretty fresh. We've created somewhat of a well-worn path since moving in. We have a little route that we can fit the ATV through and drive back here. And we do plan on this being our goat pasture in the future. We don't know when we're gonna get goats yet. It may be in another year or even 2, but they'll come. And we've definitely been planning for them, making space for them. Can you guess what lives in this hole? Notice how big that hole is. If you guessed ants, you would be correct. And that's probably the same mound right there. They can expanse such a large area, these huge harvester ants that live out here. And I'm hearing them buzz around, but mosquitoes are a little bad this morning. Sounds like Josh has gotten up and is running into town. I wanted to show you guys this cholla that is taller than I am. It is full of blooms. It's beautiful. And chollas are a favorite go-to choice for cactus wrens and other native birds to plant their, or I guess not plant, but to build their nests in. Chollas and other desert cactus and plants out here are hugely important for native pollinators. I love coming out here and seeing bees flitting between flower to flower, and sometimes you'll even catch a bee taking a snooze in one. You can see our butterfly bush is starting to wake up as well. Is another important pollinator out here. We have a ton of native flowers that grow on the property and in the surrounding area, and when they flower, I like to think of the smell as old lady perfume without the musk scent. It is delightful, intoxicating, and addictive. I cannot be kept indoors. I'm just constantly going and following my nose to a flower and just taking it all in. So I think those bloom a little bit more towards late summer and fall, and I can't wait for it. Back here is an area where the hogs and the deer like to bed down. You can see how the grass is tamped down back here. And this is our view from the back corner of Josh and my property. Did you get a flat tire? Uh-oh. And at the back corner, a very heavily used game trail. We do plan on eventually completely fencing in our property to keep the hogs and probably the deer out. And that may be sad for some, including me, because I love the wildlife. But in thinking about what would be best for our goats, we don't really want wild or feral dogs running through the property. We also have coyotes in the area. And we think it'll also help keep foot traffic at bay, as we have had trespassers in the humankind coming through the property as well. Josh and I are very fortunate on this property that we found. I don't think that we could have found a more perfect parcel for us here in the area that we live in. I mean, just looking around, our neighbor on one side has 10 acres. The neighbor on the other side is not using at least 20 acres over there. The desert continues to expand for a couple of miles that way with spotted, scattered ranchettes. And it's very quiet besides the occasional plane and helicopter that's taking off. And then on the other side, behind us, we're relatively close to town. So it's just a stone throw away from going to work, commuting, and needing to grab things if we have to run into town. I'd reckon it's probably about a 15-minute drive to town. Another one of my favorite things about this property is we have some really friendly neighbors. Good morning. Y'all seen those posts where it's showing that there's more than one kind of person in the world? There's the kind that goes on a hike for the summit, for the exercise, for getting there. And then there's people like me who stop, take pictures of ants and flowers and cool rocks and all of the animals. And really, when I go for a hike, it's much more about the journey along the way than actually getting there. What are we seeing? That's a cool plant. Love these. There's a mockingbird flitting back and forth around us, so we must be near her nest. Maybe we should keep on walking, Evie, before she dive bombs us. As I'm walking through the desert, you may see I am flitting my eyes high and low. I do have a friend who taught me, don't just look low for dangers in the desert. I'm going to share a photo here that shows that snakes can also be up high or places that you may least expect them. I always thought that snakes would be in the grass, on the ground, wedged between a couple rocks, something like that, maybe occasionally crossing your trail. Never did I think that I'd see a rattlesnake up in a tree, but lo and behold, they can and do climb several feet up into the air and sometimes take a nap in a tree. And this friend of mine, her husband, while he was working, caught that picture of that sleeping rattlesnake. And somebody had a cowboy hat on and they were walking, and this man, I want to say she said he was like 6 feet tall, and he heard something, and it was his hat brushing against the rattle on that rattlesnake that they heard. And what a scare can you imagine that would have been, to realize that your hat just brushed against the rattle of a rattlesnake sleeping in a tree. Lucky for them, the rattlesnake did not want to harm anybody, and I believe that they were able to relocate it to a more suitable spot away from the foot traffic of passersby. You seeing some rabbits? Oh yes. There's a rabbit on our leach field over there. I don't know if we'll get close enough with as much talking as I'm doing. Evie, you must dream of rabbits in your sleep. Talking about mesquites pulling up water and allowing for other plants to survive, mesquites also provide necessary shade for other plants, and often underneath the mesquite you'll see other cactuses, grasses, or especially agaritas out here growing up in the shade next to the roots of this mesquite. In this case, we have a beautiful pencil cholla. My mom and dad came to visit Josh and I for several days back for New Year's this year. If you don't know, they live across the country in Virginia, pretty far from Texas, so we cherished every moment that they were here. And while they were here, we were walking around the property, and my mom stopped me and asked, "What are those berries that you have growing over there?" Thinking it was some kind of strawberry or berry plant. And lo and behold, they were fruit from our pencil cholla, little cactus fruits. But to be fair, they do kind of look like strawberries. Man, look at those mountains over there. Isn't that gorgeous? And a size comparison, our regular chollas can grow up to 10 feet tall, and our little pencil cholla is about 3 feet tall. But you can see those little red berries there, cactus berries. Not really berries, but oh, do y'all see that little praying mantis on there? Cute little guy. Comparatively to our regular sized chollas, that one has got a foot on me. So we're kind of getting into the close of our morning walk, and the sun is thoroughly up. It's gonna get up to 97 today, and Josh and I have a lot of plans to do things on the property today. I thought I'd show you guys a couple more things. Right now we are walking across our leach field where we have our septic tank. I tried to grow some grass out here, but I didn't try very hard. I think we're gonna have to set up irrigation before that really sticks. And opposite of our leach field, you can see we have the garden. We have our shop. We have a lot of Josh's work area as he does a lot of the construction for our projects here. And right here we have a stake and a stake. And then there should be another one over there, but I think it fell over. And then going out a couple more stakes. So this is going to be our house one day. We already have come up with the plans for our house that Josh and I are gonna build, and we'll probably start that project in the future. We don't have a date yet, but we definitely want to get the foundational things done here on our homestead before building our house. You can see we still need to stucco our shop that we built last fall, and we are wanting to make sure that the garden is getting into production. We have our orchard starting to go in at the front of the property. Our RV's just on the other side of the shop. And once we kind of get those foundation things done, we'll turn our focus to our house. It is going to be a 40 by 40. It's going to be 1 story, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a large kitchen and a very large pantry. So lots of plans in store for our future that we're excited about. Oh, it's blooming. Please excuse the mess. All of our projects at once. This is a perennial, meaning it comes back every year, and he's starting to come back from last year. Can anybody guess what this is? It's native. Its leaves kind of give itself away if you take a look at my garden, or if you do some gardening yourself. These flowers. Any guesses? So this, we're not gonna step on it. This is a buffalo gourd, which is a type of squash. And even though it is edible, it's not palatable, so we don't harvest the fruits off of it. We let it grow, and it is wildlife forage, as it is in the case here. It was, oh my goodness, Evie. This buffalo, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, back up. Right there. This buffalo gourd here was growing here last year too, and maybe even farther back as well, because we've only been here a year. But it grows probably about baseball sized fruit. This gourd, it looks kind of like a watermelon. It has stripes on it, and it is a squash that the wildlife love. Native Americans also used to eat the buffalo gourd as well, but again, doesn't taste very good, so I don't know if I'd recommend it unless you maybe were stranded in the wild and had a means to cook it down. But foxes and javelinas and hogs and all of that type of things love to eat buffalo gourds. You can see all of our deer tracks. They will walk right up to the house, as y'all saw this morning as we came out. Wow, we just got rain yesterday. We're gonna put off flowers and new growth. It's like they knew it was coming. Getting into the rhythms of the seasons. These plants know what it's about. So Josh, he quickly ran into town to grab a couple more supplies, and when he gets back, we have a project we're working on at the RV. So once he gets back, we're gonna have to kick it into gear, full speed ahead. I do plan on doing a garden tour probably tomorrow or Monday. It is a 3-day weekend for Memorial Day here. There's a glimpse. We still have plants after the hailstorm yesterday. Our squashes, wow. Look at those beautiful blooms on there. We got some flowers I can already see. You'll have to stay tuned for the full tour. And what I've got going on here, this is another project I'm going to work on this weekend, is we have a roll of chicken wire, and I have these little clips that I'm going to come and clip the chicken wire around the entire perimeter of this thing to try to help keep rabbits out. And the chicken wire is only going to go up a foot. We talked about also doing a skirting where we pull some of the ground back and bury chicken wire so that things can't burrow under. So that's probably something we're going to come back and do, but we're getting this on now because we have another delivery of this shade cloth that has arrived, and so that's going to come around here. And then we're gonna wrap the whole thing. So if we have the chicken wire coming up a foot and there's a little bit of a gap underneath that shade cloth on the other side, where the gap is, the rabbits are gonna hit chicken wire. So this doesn't need to come up very high because it'll be covered with shade cloth, anything higher than that. So yeah, gonna roll out that and clip. I have an amazing tool that Josh gifted to me where it's essentially like a little hand staple gun, but it's for these like actual large rings. You can see them here. And so I can very quickly come through and just snap and move on. Working with chicken wire, nobody wants to do that, but it has made my job a whole lot easier, coming through and just clip, move on, clip, move on. So that is something that I will be very glad to work on this weekend. You can see here what I'm talking about. There's a little bit of a gap between the bottom of this shade cloth. Woo, look at all that dirt between the bottom of this shade cloth and the ground, and the rabbits just go right up under there. And look at this. We have a rabbit burrow right there. Josh and I have talked about starting to manage these rabbits. They're getting a little bit out of control. We will probably keep the jackrabbits, and we may be knocking down the numbers on the cottontails here pretty soon. And coming here full circle, kind of ending our walk, we are back to the yard. You can see the chickens over here where we started, the orchard on the other side of them going to the front of the property. Our orchard is going to be 1 acre. We put in our first row this year, and we're going to plan on putting in another row each year until it's full. It's going to end up being a 9-row orchard, so we plan on having the orchard installed over the next 10 years, hopefully already getting some fruit by the time it's fully installed. And right here, our project that we started this week is we are going to be installing a living fence as a wind block so that we can hang out in this seating area. We'll end up pulling our table and chairs that are up under the RV and putting them out here so that we can enjoy some outdoor time away from the wind. You can see we are currently living in our RV and our shop. Eventually this is going to be Josh's shop when we get the house built, but for now we're using the shop as our bathroom and living room. We're using the RV as our bedroom and kitchen. Kind of having like a compound style living in a little compound where we have to go between one house to the other to have a full house. But Josh and I are really enjoying it, and we're gonna enjoy this season of life while we get our house built. But Josh has planted grass seed and has been watering it daily, so we have a lot of green sheen right here as the grass is starting to come up. We plan on having this grass. And our living fence that we're installing, we have some trellises. We're gonna do a wall of trellises all the way up here, and we'll end up having a gate, and then we will come back and put a gate here to go to the garden, fence around. We're gonna expand. Evie has a little yard that she goes to the bathroom in. We're gonna probably expand that so she has a bigger space to be off leash and free. And we have some items that are trickling in through the postal service, and we have climbing jasmine that we're going to put, I believe it's star jasmine, as well as some peaches and cream honeysuckle. We're also going to have coral honeysuckle and a couple of climbing wisteria plants that we're going to plant on here. And I know y'all hear wisteria and you're probably like, no, don't do it. Well, we're gonna plant the wisteria far away from any plumbing or structures. It's gonna be our living fence, and wisteria is something that can live for many, many years. It produces really beautiful flowers for pollinators. And what may be a negative to some, its strong root system, is a positive for us. It's gonna have a strong root system, kind of like these mesquites, and we think that it's gonna do well out here in the desert where it really needs to have a strong root system to survive in the desert. So we'll put the wisteria a little bit farther out, away from any plumbing, so that it can grow into a living fence without harming our structures. Over here up by the RV, this is kind of where we have been collecting our plants. I have a star jasmine that arrived this week. It smells amazing. We have our little peaches and cream honeysuckles, and we also haven't received the wisteria yet or our other honeysuckles, but we'll get started with these 4 plants today. We'll just have to add the rest later as we go. I think we'll be getting another shipment today, so that'll get us with more projects to do. And the last thing, which is what we're gonna work on today when Josh gets back from his in-town run, is we have this scaffolding put up. We're gonna be reinforcing our RV. We have been getting so much wind out here, which I don't think we could have prepared ourselves for the amount of wind that we're getting out here. Oh, it's so beautiful. Just look at that. Look at that view. Sometimes I just sit out here without thinking about anything, just being, and it is one of the best things in life. So the first structure we built when Josh and I moved onto this property was this RV shade structure. It is 16 feet tall at the low point and 18 feet tall at the higher point. Maybe a little bit taller than it needs to be, but Josh wanted something where he could get up on the RV and stand up to work on the roof if he needed to work on the skylights or work on the air conditioning. He didn't want to have to crawl on his belly to get to it, and we weren't planning on moving this RV structure out unless we say sold it in the future. As you can see, we've built a shed in the front, so it's kind of a more semi-permanent setup now. So he wanted it high enough that he could access it, and also it's multi-purpose in that it's tall enough that in the future, if we were to get this RV out, we could actually enclose it as like a barn dominium or turn it into an apartment or a shop or a building in the future, like a 2-story. So that's kind of something we have thoughts in mind. We could potentially build like a porch and have like a 2-story porch up here and have like an apartment 2-story, and maybe the other half is a garage or something. So it's really tall and with the wind, this is more for me than anybody, I get kind of worried that it's going to blow away. So we're reinforcing it this weekend. All of that to say, I do thank you guys for hanging out with us on our morning walk today, letting you really see the desert that has been waking up and just enjoying the morning and our property with me and Evie. Watching the wildlife, the birds, seeing the flowers, some of our projects going on here this weekend. So if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on here at Reach and Reverie, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on here at Reach and Reverie. We have projects coming and going. We're usually working on more than one project at once, and you don't want to miss a beat. So don't forget to hit that button. And if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel, and leave a comment below. What is it like where you are right now? Is spring in full swing? Are you still getting that winter chill in the air? What do you have growing in your garden? And what would you like to see next? Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and we will catch you on the next one.